Hi, my name is Leslie Kendall. I'm the Chief Historian of the Petersen Automotive Museum. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Million Dollar Cars. And the car in front of us would have cost much more than that to build in today's money, because this is a 1942 Lincoln that was the very first car delivered new to the White House with built-in armoring. In 1941, when Japanese launched the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States was really caught unprepared. The president was not well protected when he was out and about in public. And automobiles in the day were still largely the way the president got around, from the White House to the Capitol and around Washington, D.C. And these cars were put on airplanes for the president to use when the time came. The White House ordered this car from Ford, and it was delivered with full protective armoring. In other words, armoring under the floor, steel heavy plates under the floor, over the transmission hump, in the roof of the car, in the back. And there was very, very heavy wire mesh that was lining the engine compartment, theoretically to prevent any bullets from penetrating to stop the car, to seize the engine and still let in cooling air. Now, speaking of cooling air, this car weighed almost 7,000 pounds. It was a very, very heavy car, and it took a lot of power to get down the road, and power generates heat. And when you're going very, very slowly, for example, in a parade or on a city street in DC or something like that, you would generate a great deal of heat under the hood. And that heat was exhausted by supplemental cowl vents that you look at these and you think, oh, they look pretty normal. But this middle vent is for the passengers, the front seat passengers. You can move a lever on the inside of the car and it'll open wide up. But these open the other way, and the whole idea is to exhaust that very, very hot air. It's also got a siren on it. It has flag standards for the president. And when it was originally delivered, remember, this is 1942, it looked like a 1942. It had the nice thin blade grille of the pre-war design, the one-year-only pre-war design. It was also delivered to the White House with running boards that were very, very wide to accommodate Secret Service. After the war, the car was reconfigured. It would not have been good for the President of the United States to be seen in a vehicle that was old. So in 1946, the car remained virtually the same, but the front end styling was a bit different. So what Ford did was they put an entirely new 1946 front clip on it. And now it's virtually indistinguishable from a 1946 regular production limousine. Now, this car is also interesting for a number of other reasons. After the war, when it was reconfigured from a 1942 into a 1946, they also changed the axles, and they had to make the tires much bigger than they were before the war to carry the tremendous weight of the car, because this car was said to snap axles. So they put on truck tires, they put on a truck axle, and in order to clear it, they had to take the fender skirts off the car that would normally have been seen on it. Another thing that's hard not to notice when you approach the car is the fact that the glass is 9 panes thick. Now, it's not bulletproof, but it certainly is bullet resistant. And the gaps in the door were so wide that when the window cranked down, there were chrome-plated covers that were hinged and would come down with the window to prevent things from falling into the enormous gaps that were made. And this car is also unusual in the fact that the windows even roll down to begin with. Now, on modern presidential vehicles, the windows do not go down. Secret Service would consider that a weakness, a weak point of the car that would open the president to danger if something were to go wrong. And indeed, this glass is so heavy that it required 4 countersprings in the mechanism to even lift it or put it down gently when the time came to do that. This vehicle really represents a time and a place in history. It was built when presidential vehicles were more art than science, during a time that was a little bit more innocent. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Be sure and hit the like button and subscribe.